extension IO module with these 111 FTP slots. That will give you more inputs. So we'll add another 8 digital inputs and add 4 digital outputs and 1 analog output. So this makes this successful very versatile, and you can actually add in more signals into the software.
Commission of the Australian Government's Trade and Investment Policy, SOL. Today I would like to introduce to you the Hydrogen Guarantee of Origin scheme as currently developed by Australia. However, firstly, by way of context, let me touch upon the past. This year, Korea and Australia are celebrating 60 years of diplomatic ties. Over this time, Korea has become our 4th largest trading partner, and we are a major supplier of coal and gas that keeps Korea's industry going, and the iron ore goes into costly iron steel. Of course, you know about our wine and meat as well, and I think you can see that we are a great partner for Korea. To the future is Australia's lithium, nickel and cobalt that is going to go into the batteries to power the Hyundai electric vehicles. By 2030, it is Australia's hydrogen that will replace the hydrocarbons that the industry and transport sectors rely on. So we're going to be helping Korea get to net zero hydrogen is going to be essential. That is why the Guarantee of Origin scheme I'm introducing today, while conceptual, is going to be a very important part of the relationship we have with Korea and Australia. So why Australia for hydrogen? With our abundant land, solar and wind resources, it is predicted that Australia will become a major supplier of hydrogen to Korea. This was predicted in a national hydrogen strategy, which was launched in November 2019. Our hydrogen strategy included 57 actions. The development of the GO scheme, Guarantee of Origin scheme, was one of the key actions in the early priority. But noting that the development of the GO scheme should not delay our investment in hydrogen production and eventual supply of hydrogen. Essentially, the GO scheme determines the carbon footprint of hydrogen production and ensures that the consumers understand the environmental impact of the hydrogen they are purchasing. That is to say, all hydrogen is not equal. The quality of it is determined by the carbon footprint of the hydrogen that the hydrogen is produced. It is expected that the methodology developed here will form the inputs to future international standards and have broad acceptance across communities. The approach builds on the European certified system, which was developed by European industry stakeholders in 2014, has been piloted in 2009. The Guarantee of Origin scheme will support hydrogen being traded as an international commodity, which Australia is important. The GO scheme adopted by the country seeking to trade hydrogen is very consistent, provides choice by consumers through access to information, and takes into account the CO2 emitted by half of this. The scheme needs to be able to evolve over time to increasing for ammonia. The Australian government is working on this scheme as a member of the International Partnership of Hydrogen and Fuel Cells in the Economy, IPHE, with the aim of developing a mutually agreed methodology to determine carbon emissions associated with hydrogen. IPHE is an international government-to-government partnership whose goal is to promote the advancement of hydrogen industry sectors and protocols that help underpin future trade and investment. IPHE has 22 member countries, including European countries, US, England, and Korea. IPH members are aligned with the proposed scheme to include all technologies used. However, a method of calculating greenhouse gas emissions reduction method should be determined before it is included in the scheme. Short term, the priority is to develop methods of coal gasification in CCS, steam methane reforming in CCS, electrolysis, and byproduct production of hydrogen, which is the main source of hydrogen today. Following the consultation phase, which was completed in July 2021, there will be a trial phase of the three production pathways of electrolysis, coal gasification, and steam reforming, allowing the methodologies to be compared and further refined. These trials will happen in the second half of 2021 and identify priority areas for further expansion to the scheme. The Australian government commissioned a consulting company, Energetics, to provide scheme design options and recommended three options for which developing a scheme that was IPH aligned, but also a domestic scheme that can be transitioned to an international scheme was in our best interest. Should this option fail, other options will be considered, including engaging with countries to develop a domestic scheme that was internationally aligned with export markets. So we could have a one-to-one scheme in Korea in the future, should the approach that we are adopting today not prove as aggressive as the approach. The boundary of the GO scheme refers to the limits of hydrogen value chain which emissions must be measured. If the boundaries are consistent, emissions will have hydrogen production limits and therefore the boundary initially did not take into account the emissions of products such as green steel or ammonia, but the scheme should develop on this time. While the broadest boundary is the cradle to grave or the full life cycle emissions of the production of 1 unit of hydrogen. This approach is complex and compromises real lives and processes. Stakeholders consulted on the development of those schemes recommended that the boundary of the scheme should be cradle to gate, which is consistent with a certified system and covers all upstream emissions, such as emissions associated with production of hydrogen, but excludes emissions associated with hydrogen transport and consumption. So, cradle to gate is the starting point of the GO system. Over time, the full emission picture of the delivery of the hydrogen to the consumer will be required for full transparency. An early step is to include the conversion to energy process or chemical cycle. This work is commenced and the discussion on this renewables. Expansion to include downstream products as discussed is also going to be required. Offsets generated by projects that reduce or remove emissions. Examples include offsets generated by reforestation or carbon capture and storage. There is a consensus that emissions generated by steam methane reforming or coal gasification production of hydrogen needs to be considered, but the level of emissions is yet to be set as an international standard. Reduction in emissions can occur, however, when CCS occurs at the hydrogen production site. An alternative approach is to reflect both gross and net emissions, which not consistent with intelligence. The regulatory framework for the development of the scheme. The certificate scheme will be applied to verify and track the emissions of hydrogen. This will allow maybe systems in the certificates. The information on a hydrogen certificate will include emissions, the location of the production facility, production technology, primary fuel sources, and the registration of these certificates online. So to the next steps. Currently, we are consolidating feedback on the framework that goes through the scheme. We are going to use this feedback to develop a new approach to the trials. Trials will test methodologies for each production pathway and ensure all material emission sources can be identified. We'll verify the process, assess the regulatory burden and streamline these processes, test different approaches to allocation of the emission burden, and determine the appropriate reporting period for which this scheme should apply. So today I introduced to you the Guarantee of Origin scheme. It's by very early stages in terms of developing the structure around the scheme, and it's important that we seek your feedback if you have any, and do not hesitate to contact me for any other. Happy to provide the feedback to the Australian government for developing the system, and I do look forward to
Annyeonghaseyo. My name is Michael Newman. I am the Senior Trade and Investment Commissioner for North Asia. Before I discuss the New South Wales Hydrogen Division, I would just like to give a very brief update about our presence in North Asia, and to let you know for the Korean market we will be doubling our headcount, and I look forward to meeting all of you in person when such times permit. Without any further ado, let me talk about the New South Wales Hydrogen Division.
여러분 안녕.
The market opportunities in New South Wales are quite large, and I am hoping in the very near future to announce our official hydrogen strategy, which should be released in November. But between now and then, I'm also hoping to be arranging some webinars where I can get you in front of Port Kembla, Port of Newcastle, as well as discussing critical minerals. First, starting off with the heavy transport market in New South Wales. Please understand that the New South Wales government bus fleet is the largest among any of the states in Australia, with a total fleet of 8,000 buses. The objective by 2030 is to have 20% of those fuel cell powered. That's some 1,200 buses. And we believe that there's 5,000 to 7,000 tonnes of hydrogen per annum with a 35 to 50 megawatt electrolyser capacity. Moving to the next slide, of course, industrial ammonia and steel is another big part of our strategy in hydrogen and ammonia. Ammonia production in Newcastle will be 250,000 tonnes per annum, with 40,000 tonnes of hydrogen using a 230 megawatt electrolyser capacity. Steel production at Port Kembla will also be very reliant on green energy. It produces 5 to 6 million tonnes of steel per annum, and it also produces 430,000 tonnes of hydrogen via a 2.3 gigawatt electrolyser capacity. New South Wales gas production and consumption is around 130 petajoules per annum, and with 10% blending target that will require some 36,000 tonnes of hydrogen. with a 230 megawatt electrolyser capacity. Note that Tallawarra B in Port Kembla. Briefly touching on Investment New South Wales and our attempts to get clean tech investment attraction to investors in Korea and corporates in Korea. Note that the state is very much committed to driving investment, responding to business needs, helping Australia business scale up, go global, be a single point of accountability, and to put New South Wales on the world stage. So this is, as I mentioned earlier, why we are doubling our commitment to the Korean market. While today's conversation will largely be around the clean economy and hydrogen and renewables, please note that the areas of health, technology, advanced manufacturing, agri-food, education and the visitor economy are also key areas where the New South Wales Government is committing resources. But how can we assist you? We can do that by a variety of attraction services, by providing market intelligence and investment opportunities, support for business case development, identification of investment locations and partners, familiarisation visits, advice on government programs and approvals, access to senior executives across government, industry and academic institutions, as well as providing incentives. If I go back to the earlier conversation around hydrogen opportunities in New South Wales, the domestic opportunities alone provide some very interesting areas. First of all, as mentioned earlier, Transport for New South Wales has a zero-emission bus initiative by 2030 to get 8,300 buses converted to fuel cell power. We also see maritime applications. We see aerospace, fuel cell drivetrains for commercial trucks, fuel cell integration capabilities, hydrogen refueling equipment, as well as electrolysers. We should also point out that New South Wales is conducting Australia's first zero-emissions heavy road transport trial. In the first half of 2022, with two Hyzon Himax 450 prime movers with a 650 kilometre range, we are looking at similar refuelling time to equivalent diesel vehicles. Vehicles will be deployed by Corgas as part of their New South Wales distribution fleet and operate between Port Kembla and Sydney, averaging around 400 kilometres a day. Heavy road transport is clearly a major carbon emitting sector, and this trial will showcase hydrogen fuel cell technology which is zero emission at point of use. Why are we doing this? Well, the trial will provide important key data and metrics for Australian heavy road transport fleet operators to assist industry transition to that zero emissions future which New South Wales Government is committed to. And in order to support this initiative, we are providing the construction of a $2 million hydrogen refuelling station at the Corgas Port Kembla site, assisted by $500,000 in New South Wales Government grants. Of course, the New South Wales energy system is in transition. Our current infrastructure took 30 years to build, but we need to replace it in less than 15 years. And in order to do that, we have to do it quickly and efficiently to prevent New South Wales consumers and residents from facing far higher electricity prices. Naturally, hydrogen will also present us with quite a lot of export opportunities. New South Wales renewable energy zones will support large-scale solar and wind electricity generation, which will be well suited to supporting future hydrogen production. For example, the New England renewable energy zone, up to 8,000 megawatts of generation and storage. Potential export ports at Newcastle and Port Kembla are supported by not only strong high voltage transmission infrastructure and existing industrial capabilities, but two of the deepest water ports in Australia. New South Wales also has competitive advantages in the hydrogen space. Firstly, we have access to cheap and abundant clean energy resources. Second, we have large potential domestic consumption. Third, we have efficient planning pathways that maintain best practice safety assessments. 4, we have funding support for hydrogen infrastructure and technology. And 5, we not only have a heavy and advanced manufacturing base, we have existing commercial hydrogen production, existing export terminals and trade, and a very good track record of safety. 6, we have sustainable water resources. 7, we have world-class research and development. And 8, we have geosequestration potential as well. I think it is also worth pointing out that we also have a very highly skilled workforce that has been in the industry for many decades, and we believe that during the transition they will be a critical part for any investment coming into New South Wales. So what is New South Wales government hydrogen policy? New South Wales Government is committed to providing support for hydrogen. As mentioned in the early part of this speech, in November we will be having the official New South Wales Government hydrogen strategy put forward. For the moment, you can see these which are available on our website, the Department of Planning, Industry and Environment, to understand our net zero plan, our electricity infrastructure roadmap, opportunities for prosperity in a decarbonised and resilient New South Wales, looking at New South Wales as a clean energy superpower, and turning our state into a net zero industry and innovation leader. The journey to maturity for hydrogen in New South Wales will come in 3 phases. Firstly, between 2020 and 2025, we will show the complete demonstration of technology and establish the foundation for future scaling. In the second phase, from 2025 to 2030, we'll try to drive large-scale industry growth. And the third phase, from 2030 and beyond, we'll look at facilitating widespread commercial uptake. Our hydrogen framework will look to progress each actions for each sector during phase 1. And the initial initiative will focus on funding on heavy transport and industrial projects to create new demand for hydrogen in the transport market and catalyse growth of the clean hydrogen industry in New South Wales. In order to do that, New South Wales Net Zero Industry and Innovation Program will be a $750 million commitment by the New South Wales Government to accelerate clean technology development and decarbonisation efforts across our high-emitting industries. We'll have $380 million to deploy low emissions technologies and infrastructure, $195 million to support the development and continued innovation of emerging clean technologies, as well as $175 million to lay the foundations for low emission industries, including at least $70 million for hydrogen hub development. When looking at our hydrogen hub development initiative concept, as mentioned, we're committing at least $70 million to develop